Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage news, drama, wrestling, injury updates, inactive statuses, and stuff like that. If it makes major news, wrestling headlines from Stardom, New Japan Professional Wrestling, AEW, WWE, of course, one of the most popular ones. But all in all, if it makes major news, wrestling headlines, we talk about it here on the show. Hope you guys are having a great, fantastic Tuesday. Hope you guys had a great Monday. I know starting off the week, it can always get, it can always be a little bumpy here and there, especially if you live in, Southern California right now, where there was a massive heat wave that was kind of messing with the connection. Luckily, I did kind of have trouble starting, some of my online, overlays today, which hopefully, we can go through the show pretty smoothly. And there's a huge fire in San Bernardino, so my thoughts and prayers are for, everybody that's included in that. So, yeah, let's go ahead and dig on into this show. So, guys, first and foremost, thank you so much for tuning into the show. We have a lot of talent, a lot of content on the way for you today. Our first segment, of course, we're going to review WWE Monday Night Raw. In our second segment, we're going to talk about NXT. Third segment, we're going to talk about Charlotte Flair and WWE's plan for her, admitted her return. So when she comes back, WWE already has like a storyline in place. And then we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw as of October, I think October 7th, they said. It's going to start only being 2 hours. It's going back down to a 2-hour show. I want to talk about that a little bit and a couple of superstars that are probably it's going to be bad for them. Overall, I feel like it's going to be, not the end of their career, but they're not going to see a lot of time because obviously you lose an hour. That's an hour. You know what I mean? And in our fifth and final segment, something we do on every Tuesday, we jump into my wrestling DeLorean. I take you guys back in time on this day of September 10th. And we talk about just, major things that happened, in professional wrestling on this day. All right, so let's dig into that. But before we get into any of that, I want to remind you guys to use that super chat. Go ahead and use that super chat, whether if you have a burning question or just something you've been dying to get off your chest. Here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are 1,010% all ears. The show is all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure your voice is part of the mix, so don't be shy. Drop your thoughts in the chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets noticed, why not use that super chat? Just hit that $ below the chat box, and your message will be guaranteed to get featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel, keep the lights on, so to speak, so you get even more awesome sports content that you guys love so much. Thank you guys, and we are 1,010%. Obviously, grateful for each and every one of you guys who, send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. So let's, keep the conversation going. Let's keep it lively. Keep this party going. Let's get this party started, actually. And once again, if the super chat thing is not your thing, you can always hit up the gsmcpodcast.net, hit up the tips and donations link, and, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Give me some of your hot takes in terms of professional wrestling. Also, Superman Punch, that like a subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But criticism is welcome as well. Feedback is a gift. 1,010%. We just want to make sure you guys are enjoying the show. All right, so let's jump on into our first segment. Like I said, I'm going to click on some things. Hopefully it works. But yeah, let's dig on into it. So WWE Monday Night Raw review. It was decent. It was a pretty decent Monday Night Raw. I think they are gearing up heading toward Netflix, and they're going to be, not sharing the spotlight on the USA Network with SmackDown because they're on different days. But I think this is going to be a great way for Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce to kind of, work out a couple of kinks, maybe have some superstars jump ship to Friday Night SmackDown, and maybe some vice versa. But man, Monday Night Raw, going to a 2-hour show, that's gonna be crazy. It already seems like they are overwhelmed with the talent they have already. Imagine trying to cut it down an hour. It's going to be interesting to find out what happens. First, we saw the American Made in a street fight against the Wyatt Sicks. I was upset because I wanted to see Uncle Howdy get into the ring and fight. Eventually he did. it was a street fight, so obviously no disqualifications. The Wyatt Sicks were able to pick up the victory. Ivy Nile was the first one to step up. I thought that was kind of cool. Then you saw Nikki Cross come in with the attack. I, to be honest, I thought this was a decent spot. I thought it was a nice spot for the Wyatt Sicks. American made. We were waiting as wrestling fans. I know I have. I was waiting for Chad Gable to finally, team up with these two guys, the Creed brothers, and just, make a name for themselves. But, being the first target of the Wyatt Six obviously doesn't make it easy. It doesn't make it easy, and it definitely in some way I feel like kind of hurt the group. I don't think they're going anywhere because of how much talent these superstars have. But after this angle with the Wyatt Six and American Made, something's got to change. Something's got to change. It's going to be kind of amazing to find out their storyline heading into that. And plus, I kind of have a message for the USA Network. You know, you got to stop running that cricket ad. You got to stop running with the American Alpha, with the American Made or Alpha Academy, and then you have Otis and Chad Gable all buddy buddy. Like what it used to be. And I wonder why they are still allowing the ad to run. It kind of defeats kayfabe a little bit, but all in all, I know it's just a plug for WWE for sponsors, but I don't know. For me, I'm like, it's just kind of funny whenever it comes on. It's just not that it doesn't make me smile, not that I'm like, man, I kind of miss when Otis and Chad Gable, were tag teaming it together, and I thought that was pretty cool. Next we have Finn Balor. Finn Balor talking about how he reached down, how Damien Priest basically held down Finn Balor, and to a sense, it could be true. It could be true. He challenged to Damien Priest to a match at Bad Blood. Maybe a stipulation might be added to it. I'm not 1,010% sure. I wouldn't be against it, but Finn Balor, is one of those superstars. I feel like Triple H pushed him as soon as he got out of NXT. He was, front runner and he did win the WWE Universal Championship. And then he got injured. And then when he came back, he was never really pushed again. They put him in this stable with the Judgment Day, which I kind of thought was stupid. The moment I saw Finn Balor, I was like, you know what, like, I get it. But then, the push wasn't for Finn. The push was essentially for Damian Priest. And Finn Balor was kind of just there along the way. Like, I was like, okay, so now you have this guy, Damian Priest, leading the group now. So Finn Balor will probably not see a title shot for quite some time, which I disagree with because I think he's an electric superstar. He is, a little smaller than the rest, but that WWE World Heavyweight Championship, man, I respect Gunther. Obviously, I respect Gunther, but I don't know. Right now, the championship on the Raw side seems a little, I don't want to say mean, but seems a little weak. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, Gunther is the ring general, and he is good at promos, and he's good at, talking mess and, getting into his heads of his opponents. But right now, it seems like WWE Monday Night Raw is kind of like, the Triple H era kind of started off a big bang in early April. And now, maybe a renaissance period where they're like, okay, we were going to Netflix. I feel like, because I know Gunther's not going to hold that title longer than 6 months. I guarantee you he's not going to have that title heading into Royal Rumble or, or even, I don't know, maybe Survivor Series might. He might. He just might. Because at this point, who on the Raw roster could dethrone him? Like, you have this Drew McIntyre and CM Punk thing going back and forth, back and forth. Um, I don't really see Drew going after the title. I could see maybe how they would have a CM Punk taking on Gunther, where CM Punk would be complete babyface and Gunther would be heel, and CM Punk wins his championship back or wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. That could possibly be a way, but no, but anyways, Finn Balor, you just don't think of his name anymore, and it sucks. And it sucks, and it's not our fault. It's not the WWE Universe's fault. Overall, Finn Balor was, kind of held down by WWE Creative, and kind of voiced his frustration during this promo, which I thought was kind of justice. I kind of liked it. Next, we saw Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defeat the Unholy Union for the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. Bret the Hitman Hart was at Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I thought it was kind of cool. Overall, he's definitely one of the best Canadian champions in the world. Gunther came out. Of course, he came out saying that he's the best there is now. You know what I mean? Like, then he goes to mention Bill Goldberg. He goes to mention the guy who essentially, got him, got him retired. The reason why Bret Hart was forced to retire was that kick that Goldberg should have told Bret was coming. He claimed he did, but he did miss the spot, and Goldberg was actually very, he was known for missing spots and missing cues, and overall, like just hurting his opponent. That's a lot like that WCW did. They brought in these guys that weren't really particularly like crazy good and trained, but just like, oh, this guy's just gonna have squash matches, or this guy's gonna be the next big thing. And he was popular in WCW, so I don't think Goldberg was a complete failed mission. But as Bret Hart, you can only imagine the frustrations that that the what if, and then Sami Zayn came out to back up Bret the Hitman Hart, and building up momentum toward this match with Gunther. I don't think Sami Zayn has what it takes to take down Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. Overall, I think maybe something something will happen. Something's going to happen, but it should be interesting to find out what happens next. Next, we saw Dominic Mysterio defeat Dragon Lee in a match. Last time they met, Dragon Lee dethroned Dominic Mysterio of his NXT North American Championship. So Dominic got revenge. We saw the Pure Fusion Collective lose against Lyra Valkyria, Zelina Vega, and their mystery partner. Of course, I knew it. It was Natalya. Natalya came back in her hometown. I thought it was kind of cool. All the fans respect the hell out of her. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty crazy. But, first and foremost, you saw the promo that Sonya Deville cut before the match started. And she said, how Lyra Valkyria and Zelina Vega should worry about their failures. When in reality, I feel like this Pure Fusion collective faction has kind of performed under par. I don't think, the fans, obviously they react to her. They're, a couple of bad guys, well, a couple of bad girls, but that sounds kind of weird. Uh, they're heels. They're heels, so to speak. This is something that I didn't think was going to happen. I thought this was going to be good for Shayna Baszler. I thought it was going to be good for Zoe Stark. I thought it was going to be great for Sonya Deville, but so far it's, seems like it's taken a step back. Maybe they try to find something better in the future. But right now, with the Unholy Union, you also have Damage Control you got to worry about. There's so many. I feel like there's a lot of women heels right now. I do. I do feel like there's a lot of, heels. That's why you saw Rhea Ripley kind of jump ship to the babyface, which is perfect for her. I feel like WWE, it was about time. I feel like it was about time. All right, next you saw Drew McIntyre come out, and at first he was, livid, absolutely livid, talking about the bracelet, of course, the bracelet, and how CM Punk thought he can just challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then he goes and he challenges Wade Barrett, and then Nick Aldis comes out, he's like, look, like this, no, Adam Pearce came out, he's like, look, this got to stop. I want this to be over between you two. So the trilogy is going to end at Bad Blood, Hell in the Cell. We kind of saw that one coming too. CM Punk taking on Drew McIntyre. Winner take all. Winner has all the bragging rights. But will that be the end? Hopefully it will be, because I want to see these guys fight for singles championships. I don't want to see these guys really fight each other anymore. Not that it hasn't been decently entertaining, but I want to see Drew McIntyre fight for the championship. I want to see CM Punk try to get his hands on Gunther, or maybe perhaps Braun Breaker. But I don't know. I just think that these two is better, kind of separated. All right, next we have the New Day. The New Day's future. Like, they had a promo, did not even mention anything about, breaking up, or, no more carrying across. It's a storyline that essentially died once when this whole Odyssey Jones thing, kind of happened, the allegations and stuff, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, a lot of people didn't want to see the New Day break up. You kind of saw him, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston kind of patch things up a little bit. But overall, I thought it was decent. It was decent. Next, we have Rey Mysterio taking on Finn Balor. I thought it was actually a pretty good match, but at the end of it, you saw Finn Balor get DQ'd, which I was kind of like, really? really, you're gonna have these guys put on a halfway decent match on WWE Monday Night Raw? Is this gonna end in disqualification? I thought that was a little bit of a slap to the face. And finally, we found out who's going to challenge Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. It's going to be Jey Uso, last out Ilya Dragunov, Braun Strowman, and Pete Dunn. And I think Jey Uso he has a good shot. He definitely has a good shot. Putting all those rumors of him maybe potentially leaving the company because WWE creative is not really doing anything with his bookings or character development. So this could be big. This could be big for Jey Uso. All right, guys. So hey, do not go anywhere. We're gonna jump on into our next segment. We have WWE NXT tonight, and we're gonna preview it when we come back. So hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on their face shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday on the GSMC Sports Network, here to talk about professional wrestling at 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So we talk about things from WWE, AEW, GCW, NWA, Stardom, New Japan Professional Wrestling. If it makes major news wrestling headlines, we talk about it here on the show. So 1,010%, thank you for tuning in. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review, and now we're going to talk about our WWE NXT preview. So let's go ahead and dig on into that. But before we get started with that, whether if you guys have a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or just something you've been dying to share, we at the GSMC Sports Network are all ears. The show is all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy and drop those thoughts in the chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets noticed, why not use that super chat? Hit up that $sign below the chat box and send in your message, and it's guaranteed to be featured on the show. And plus, it's a great way to support our channel. Helps us, kind of keep the lights on in terms of, keep bringing you even more awesome sports entertainment content. We are absolutely 1,010% super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going, keep this party going, send in those super chats, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this show is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. And if the super chat, that's not your thing, you can still hit up the GSMC podcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Go ahead and Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show. Follow the network. Also, here at the GSMC Sports Network, we do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010%. But obviously, criticisms are welcome as well. Feedback is a gift. All in all, we just want to make sure this podcast is super awesome for, the audience members. So don't be, too shy to drop in those thoughts or chats or opinions. And, just make the show a lot better. All right, so we have WWE NXT preview for tonight. First and foremost, we have a match between Julia and Chelsea Green. Julia, ever since coming onto the scene in WWE, a lot of, speculations about the future. She was really big in independent wrestling circuit. I feel like WWE is super, super lucky to have her. Chelsea Green also. Chelsea Green, she takes the limelight. It's like one of those superstars where on television, in front of the camera, people don't really, kind of take her seriously. Inside the ring, she does produce pretty good matches. I don't know if WWE will eventually, push Chelsea Green. I ultimately thought she was going to be the one to win the Money in the Bank briefcase for the women's side. Obviously, you kind of saw Tiffany Stratton. The moment she won that, I knew I kind of put that idea to bed. But overall, I do, I respect Chelsea Green. Whenever she does come out, all eyes are on her. Her opponents are, she pisses them off. She gets the fans into it, and like I don't know, I think she's very special. But she's not going to win tonight. Would be a hell of a shocker. I would, give like a 1% chance that maybe she might pull the upset. But Julia, she's highly favored to be like kind of the next star in WWE TNA, I mean NXT, and especially with this collaboration. With this collaboration between TNA, you're going to see a lot of wrestling talent that seems kind of new to WWE, but I feel like it's kind of overall better for the product, especially if you're going to the CW. You kind of have to learn how to stand on your own legs, so to speak. So, Julia is going to get a big push. I definitely think she's going to pick up the dub tonight against Chelsea Green. Next, Ridge Holland takes on Duke Hudson. This is a match that's been brewing for months. I don't really see why, the promo, I guess, Ridge Holland tried so hard to get the approval of basically everybody. Riley Osborne, obviously you got it from Thea Hale, Duke Hudson, and then just to win the tag team titles and Nathan Frazier's reign ending, just for Nathan Frazier and Axiom's, title reign to begin again at WWE NXT No Mercy, and then you see Ridge Holland just, bust a lid, like just absolutely went bonkers, destroyed all of Chase U. I so it should be interesting to find out where his character development heads tonight. I definitely think he does pick up the victory against Duke Hudson, but this is going to get personal. I feel like this is going to be, this isn't the first of Rich Holland fighting, fighting all of Chase U. I feel like maybe Pete Dunn might reunite with Rich Holland. This could possibly be like a new tag team that's a heel, because in the tag team division, there's a couple of tag teams that seem like they're neutral. There's a couple of tag teams that are, seem like they're babyface, like Chase U, Nathan Frazier, and Axiom, and new Hank and Tank are coming as well. And then for the bad guys, the OC. I don't really see the OC as like heels in the tag team division on NXT. But I don't know. It just seems they need like someone that are dominant forces. Every single time they come on the camera, you're like, oh, great, these guys are going to win. But because they're going to win, I hate them. And the way their confidence is like, it seems like the right booking. It really does seem like the right booking to kind of have these guys come back together. But speaking of Pete Dunne, he has himself a last man standing match against Trick Williams. Pete Dunne already yesterday he fought in a fatal four-way match to determine the number one contender for Braun Breaker's WWE Intercontinental Championship. So he's gonna have some. He's gonna have some fatigue. Definitely gonna have some fatigue. I can see that. Trick Williams. He's kind of in a hole right now between him and Pete Dunne. You know, Overall, Trick Williams, I feel like he's going to win this match. I feel like he's definitely going to be the next one to challenge Ethan Page for the championship. I think this is the number one contenders match. If I'm not too concerned, or if I'm not too far off here. Um, but overall, I feel like on the first episode of the CW of NXT, I want to see Trick Williams, get a shot at his championship once again. That's where I would, that's where I would put my booking. Pete Dunne, he's kind of floating back and forth between Monday Night Raw and NXT. I can't really put my finger on him. I can't really, I thought Pete Dunne coming to NXT, he was going to get a big push. Turns out, he loses, and then he doesn't, then he starts losing on Raw, and then it just kind of goes, the momentum kind of gets shot down there a little bit. But yeah. Next, we have an NXT Tag Team Championship match between the Supersonic Duo and the Street Profits. Obviously, the Rascals will not be fighting the Street Profits. Will not be fighting, Nathan Frazier and Axiom. This week, we have the Street Profits from WWE Monday Night Raw. Which would, if they pick up the titles here tonight, to be honest, I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it right now. The Street Profits are on SmackDown more or less to kind of be, I don't want to say the punching bag of this new young bloodline. And, which I feel like they won those WWE tag team titles way too fast in their, WWE career. You're putting all the gold back onto the bloodline. I don't know. It doesn't seem like, they really fit on WWE SmackDown as of late. So, them on WWE NXT, this could open up possibilities for them. 1,000, even K-Fab as well. This could be big. This could be very big for, the Street Profits if they pick up the victory tonight. And lastly, we have a TNA Knockouts World Champion, Jordynne Grace, hosts an open challenge. This is, no, sorry. We have an NXT Heritage Cup Championship match. Charlie Dempsey takes on the young OG Javon Evans. I feel like, Ren Sinclair kind of got Charlie Dempsey in this mess. She's going to try to find herself a way to kind of get him out of it. I feel like he's going to retain. I love Javon Evans, and I think he's a young rising star. But he's going to put on a damn good match, and he's been doing that lately. Just because he doesn't have a title belt, an NXT brand title belt around his waist, doesn't necessarily mean that he's not a great wrestler, because he is. And he's learning fast. He's getting good at his bookings. He very rarely misses his spots. He's a high flyer. He's a technical wrestler as well. This guy is, WWE fan born into a superstar. And that's something that you see every single week on NXT on Tuesday nights. So, love Javon Evans, but I have Charlie Dempsey, picking up this dub tonight. All right, lastly, we have Jordynne Grace. Who will challenge Jordynne Grace? My thoughts were Natalya. I thought Natalya has a pretty good chance. Lyra Valkyria. I love Lyra Valkyria. Last week on TNA, you saw her have an open challenge, and then you saw Carmen Petrovich answer the challenge as well. I think they're gonna stick to NXT superstars. It'd be kind of redundant to have a TNA superstar kind of jump onto the mix. I doubt Charlotte Flair returns tonight, but that is also up in the moniker as well. Also, Asuka could possibly be making her way back to WWE. She could. Alexa Bliss comes back in NXT. Would be huge. Would be 1,010% great for her career. Be great for NXT. I feel like her, pushing and being featured on TNA, part time. That could be big. It could be big for NXT. Chances are, slim to none tonight for Alexa Bliss to make her return to WWE, the challenge for that Jordynne Grace's championship, because man, that would be a first big match. That's why I'm thinking maybe it's like a bigger superstar. I thought maybe perhaps, and I don't want anybody like from the Fatal Attraction. No, not Fatal. What is it? Damn it. The Fatal JC Jane, Fallon Henley, and Jasmine Nix. I don't want to see Fallon Henley go after it. I kind of want to see maybe somebody along the lines of like Natalya, maybe Lola Vice, perhaps, maybe. But I don't know. It should be interesting. I also kind of thought maybe somebody from the Pure Fusion Collective will fight as well. People are, thinking maybe Shayna Baszler might, challenge Jordynne Grace. Who knows? But overall, it should be an awesome episode of NXT. I have it taped right now. Can't wait to watch it, of course, after having a podcast with you, the lovely people first. So yeah, speaking of Charlotte Flair, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about WWE's plan for Charlotte Flair's return. I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to give my opinions about it, state if that's what I would do. And so we're going to dig on into the subject matter when we come back. So hey, do not go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling, all the action inside and outside of the ring, backstage drama, and talk about superstar, injury updates, inactive statuses, contract negotiations between promotions, and talk about it for everything from WWE to AEW to TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling. Sometimes the NWA. If it makes major news wrestling headlines, we talk about it here on the show. So yeah, so just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review, then we had our WWE NXT preview. Should be pretty awesome. I honestly can't wait to dive on into it. But before we do that, obviously, we're going to finish the show. Next up, we have Charlotte Flair, her return and WWE's overall plan for her return. But, it's not like I hate it. It's not like I hate it. But it's not like I completely love it. To be honest, I'm a little skeptical about it, but it could work. It could work. But before we do any of that, I want to remind you guys to hit up that super chat. If you have a burning question or a hot take in terms of professional wrestling, or just something you want to get off your mind, your chest, here at the GSMC Sports Network, we are all ears. The show is all about keeping the conversation lively, making sure your voice is part of the mix. So don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside the chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment or question gets noticed on air, go ahead and use that super chat. It's the $ below that chat box. Send in your message, and it's guaranteed to be featured on the show. Plus, it's a great way to support our channel. Your super chats obviously helps us keep the lights on and bring even more wrestling content that you guys love so much. We are absolutely 1,010% super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily. Your support makes all the difference. So let's keep the conversation going, and let's let those super chats fly, those super stickers, because you guys are super awesome. And together we will make sure this show is bigger, better, and stronger than ever. Once again, if the super chat thing, if it's not your thing, you can always hit up the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love a lot of peace, love, and positivity 1,010% of the time. But of course, if you have, some criticisms, feedback, overall is a gift. This show is all about keeping the conversation going, keeping the party, keeping, me true as a wrestling fan. Because at the end of the day, I am a wrestling fan, so I love talking to other wrestling fans. So, don't be shy. Drop in those chats. There's no right or wrong answers. Yeah. All right. So we talked about some good old-fashioned Charlotte Flair news, and I think it's going to be big. I know a lot of the time, in terms of WWE returns, so far I feel like they've been doing well. They kind of whiffed on the Giovanni Vinci thing. That was kind of stupid. But overall, I feel like when Charlotte Flair comes back, it's going to be huge. It's going to be super huge. Obviously, a former WWE Women's Champion, Raw Women's Champion, SmackDown Women's Champion, Women's World. She's done it all. She's done it all. And, it's kind of crazy. She's been sidelined for such a long time, and it's crazy. On a December 8th, 2023 episode of SmackDown, she sustained a serious injury during a singles match against Damage Control's Asuka, which is crazy because she ended up getting injured as well. And she tore her ACL, her MCL, and her meniscus. Not an easy way to kind of come back. She's been kind of posting on social media, teasing a return, and she looks great. She's training at WWE Performance Centers, and, her focus is back. I feel like she wants to be a WWE champion once again. And, I think it's going to be great. Overall, I think it's going to be pretty awesome. On his Dirty Sheets podcast via Patreon, Bill Body shared that WWE has plans ready for Charlotte Flair's return. Notably, Nia Jax, currently holding the WWE Women's Championship, wearing that crown. And, first and foremost, it makes sense. It does make sense. The true queen of WWE. That could already sell. That sells right there. Like he could, put it on T-shirts, put on hats. You're gonna see fans and with signs saying that Charlotte Flair is our true queen. But I ultimately kind of thought she was going to Monday Night Raw. You kind of see the poster for Raw going to Netflix, and you see Charlotte Flair along, you see the bloodline as well, and you see The Rock. Um, maybe she finds a way to win the championship. Maybe um, Tiffany Stratton cashes in, beats her, and then Charlotte Flair packs up her things and goes to Monday Night Raw. Um, but Tiffany Stratton, I feel like it's not really in the same conversation like Charlotte Flair. Tiffany Stratton is a huge Charlotte Flair fan, and she wanted to walk in her like step, and it would be a dream match for her. But I just don't think she's ready. I see her inside the ring, and it's not like she misses cues. It's not like she's sloppy in terms of putting on a good wrestling match or performing the moves safely for other superstars. It's just I kind of wanted to see Charlotte Flair like kind of come back and whenever she comes back, she's going to be obviously be the head honcho. That's no doubt about it. I feel like she does kind of fit more on SmackDown. Maybe that's a huge reason why WWE SmackDown hasn't pulled the trigger on having Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair split up. From being WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, because Charlotte Flair will eventually come back. She's kind of set to come back. I think it seems kind of fitting for her to come back before Survivor Series, or maybe no. I feel like I feel like she should come back at Survivor Series. She kind of comes back at Bad Blood, and she confronts Nia Jax face to face. But all in all, I get why they'd want to book that storyline: Queen versus Queen. Who's the true queen of WWE? But I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. And it's also been reported that WWE has already penciled in a WrestleMania 41 plans for Flair that would involve her a match in a current Miss Money in the Bank, Tiffany Stratton. Given Tiffany Stratton's admiration for Charlotte Flair, her rise in WWE, this is a potential match for dream clash for her fans and everything that goes kind of in between it. As they've taken on Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania, it's possible. I don't really see that booking really go through because I feel like I don't think Tiffany Stratton's going to have a failed Money in the Bank cash in. I really doubt it. Or maybe she uses it for a match at WrestleMania. That could also happen as well. But that means we have to wait for the end of the Royal Rumble where ultimately, whoever wins the Royal Rumble gets to pick first. And Tiffany Stratton is on SmackDown, and I don't really see her going to WWE Monday Night Raw. With this new era of Netflix dawned upon Monday Night Raw. I just don't see that happening. And I think she's great on SmackDown. She's definitely going to be a star. She's going to be a star. This might be the start of her push. Charlotte Flair, of course, like Bayley, like Becky Lynch, you're kind of getting up to that age where I think you're going to start, promoting young talent, but then you're going to win some title belts here and there. And that's not bad. That's not a bad deal. Kind of reminds you of like a Randy Orton, kind of like, what he's doing right now, which, he got one of the biggest wrestling contracts in the world, which is, congratulations. It's sick. It's set to make history. But Charlotte Flair as well. She's like a WWE, what is that word? Illuminati? No, alumni. Her father believes in her, a crap ton. She is WWE. You see Charlotte Flair, you think of WWE. Charlotte Flair is probably the only one, that, a lot of, they could probably be featured on ESPN Sports Center and be like, oh, Charlotte Flair, I know who that is. You know what I mean? Oh, Tiffany Stratton, oh, I don't really know who that is. Or Nia Jax, no, I don't really know who that is. Like Charlotte Flair, she's kind of mainstream. And the way she's posting on social media, she's getting a lot of, interactions, attractions from fans. And putting the belt on her, I feel like would be not too soon, though. Not too soon, I hope. Because if she comes in and she just wins it and fans already knew that this was going to happen, you kind of start, for me, I know I would question it. I'd be like, really? Like, I kind of wanted more something that, more along the lines of like a shock factor. You know what I mean? Maybe she comes back during the Royal Rumble and she wins the Royal Rumble. Possibly that could be it. But, fighting somebody like Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania, which we still have a long time. So I have a hell of a long time. We have about 6 months for the next WrestleMania. So there's a lot of bookings, a lot of things that could change. Hopefully, knock on wood, have that ACL, that MCL meniscus injury is, it's detrimental. And a lot of people say that they're never really the same after that. Taking bumps inside the ring, and you know how she loves jumping off to the top rope into the outside, doing that the moonsault or the whisper in the wind. I hope she doesn't get hurt. And I feel kind of bad for bringing this up, like kind of putting that bad juju in the air. I'm sorry, I apologize, but it's just something that kind of have to think about. Like what I mean, she is kind of getting older up in age. Not saying that she wouldn't kick my ass or anything like that, but uh, overall, I think she's going to be champion. I know, yeah, I know she's going to be champion. I know she's going to be champion. I just the way WWE does it, the Nia Jax thing makes sense. Her finding her way onto Monday Night Raw, but then again, you look at WWE posters all the time, and it's not really, it's not really true all the time. And I feel like once when things are going to go down between on Netflix. I ultimately feel like that first episode of Monday Night Raw on Netflix, maybe we might get a draft. Possibly we could be seeing a draft going on. But if it's going to be a 2-hour show, and if it's not going to return to the 3-hour segment, which is I don't know, kind of, I feel like that kind of sucks. But Charlotte Flair coming back, the new queen of the ring, also defeating somebody like the likes of Nia Jax. It'd be good for her. I would love to see how the fans respond to her inside the ring to decide whether she comes back as a heel or a baby face. It's been kind of, even when she is a baby face, you always just, I'm always like, dude, when is this going to turn? When is she going to turn? Is this the promo where she turns, or is this when, Bayley recently became a baby face, and her and Bayley have a lot of baggage in the past too. Right now, no one knows what's going to happen with Rebecca Quinn, where she's going to sign. Maybe she finds her way back on the Monday Night Raw. Who knows? And of course, out of the 4 horsewomen, the only person that's missing is Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, obviously on AEW, making bank and cashing checks over there, kicking butt. Well, kind of, sort of. That match at AEW All Out was, it was a little bad. It was a little bit. I'm not gonna steer away from controversy. I'm gonna give you guys the truth, cold hard truth. It's Eric Rodriguez, your professional wrestling honesty broker. So yeah, Charlotte Flair. Thank God she's coming back. I feel like the world of wrestling need her, especially on Raw. I feel like Raw needs her definitely 1,010%. All right, guys. So hey, do not go anywhere. We're gonna jump on into our next segment. We talked about Charlotte Flair's WWE plans for her return, and now we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. We're returning to a 2-hour show. How's it going to be? How bad is it for the other superstars or, advertisers, or I don't know. We're going to dig into it when we come back. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. So let's go and dig on into our 4th segment. We are running short of time like we always do. I don't know why I even try to, time limit it. Like, it's crazy. Like, just end up talking my head off anyways. So we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw becoming a 2-hour show again. Should be interesting. I don't think it's for the best, but I could see why, I guess. Well, actually, I don't. The USA Network is set to hold all 3 WWE shows until October 1st, I believe, is the first episode of NXT. And then Friday Night SmackDown, it's going to be there. That's their new home. Excuse me. Monday Night Raw, it's going to Netflix. But is it going to return as a 3-hour show when they go to Netflix? Maybe, just maybe. So there was announced on WWE Raw, also all over social media, that beginning October 7th, WWE Monday Night Raw is going to return to a 2-hour format. Obviously, they're still going to be on the USA Network. Obviously, I don't really see them going anywhere, besides Netflix. Um, this obviously plays into Triple H's philosophy of, quality over quantity. I get it, you know what I mean? But I get it, but I don't get it because I can't be like, I don't like this, I don't hate it, but then I can't really support it. I can't really say it's good or bad. Obviously we have to see the first episode of Monday Night Raw. If it feels rushed, if it feels like a lot of superstars are getting short in the promos and stuff like that, then obviously this is going to be a big deal. This is going to matter. Kind of like we're, with the whole PLEs only having 4 or 5 matches. For me as a wrestling fan, I hate it. Like, I can't stand it. Obviously at Survivor Series, obviously Royal Rumble, you kind of have, well, I can't really say that the same as well. I feel like WrestleMania. WrestleMania is the only card that obviously it's 2 nights given and SummerSlam where you kind of have more than like 6 or 7 matches on a card. And, I like that. As a wrestling fan, I like that. That's a huge reason why I feel like AEW is really awesome. That's why I love watching the pay-per-views on AEW because every title is defended. Every title is defended. There's storylines that are coming from all over the place, from the bleachers, from the Raptors. Just giving these guys a chance to kind of go out there and just have matches. You know what I mean? Like, I think at AEW All Out during their 0 hour, that's their pre-show, I think they had like 3 or 4 matches. Like in WWE only has like 1. They used to have like 2. Sometimes they have like a low end like title match where people know that, someone's going to win. Obviously, at WrestleMania, you have the Andre the Giant memorial, but it's it's crazy. Raw going back to 2 hours. I get it. It is a weekly show, but to kind of fit this philosophy that Triple H claims that the quality over quantity, it works for PLEs. Yes, indeed, it does. But I feel like that's what you have a weekly show for. Is to kind of play around with acts a little bit, storylines. That's what I feel like it's there for. And now that WWE Raw, they lost an hour. Wow. That is big. That is, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Superstars will definitely suffer on Raw, and it's a damn shame. Just kind of mentioned a couple of them. We mentioned him before, how after the whole Odyssey Jones thing happened, for the allegations and stuff, he hasn't been seen, basically kind of essentially written off of WWE until I guess it's cleared. But even Rick Swann, he was cleared from allegations, but WWE still ultimately let him go. I don't know where that storyline was going to take off. You had the storyline between Karrion Kross and the Final Testament, where perhaps maybe Xavier Woods was going to turn on Kofi and have the New Day finally break up. I was against it. I got to be honest. I did read a couple of articles that perhaps maybe opened my mind a little bit. When, the New Day is always going to be the New Day. No one's ever going to take it away from these guys. But is it fitting? Is it fair for Xavier Woods not to kind of have a singles run? He was, King Xavier Woods. He, won the King of the Ring quite some time ago. But I feel like I feel like he could get into better bookings. I feel like he could fight for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. I kind of thought the same thing when, Jey Uso was being pushed as a single star. I was like, dude, this is not going to work. I feel like he doesn't have the same star power as of like a Roman Reigns, as of like a Brock Lesnar. Or Randy Orton, John Cena, or even Triple H. But right now, WWE, you kind of have maybe 2 or 3 main event guys on the roster. Now, I'm not saying that Kofi Kingston comes back and does the whole Kofi Mania thing, but he would definitely make an interesting opponent for Braun Breaker or for the new Intercontinental Champion, because I feel like right now you kind of have the same people challenging for the titles. Obviously, Sami Zayn and Jey Uso is actually getting his first title shot, so I think they're doing that pretty well. Braun Breaker, the moment he, came from NXT, he was on an absolute tear. He made an impact. So I feel like he's doing decent. Ilya Dragunov, he started promising. He's kind of faltering down to a mid-card jobber a little bit. Well, not a jobber. That's kind of mean. But, and Braun Strowman, big SOB. Braun Strowman, I feel like, I don't feel like he's ever going to be a champion. And like kind of keeping him around, he's also going to be a superstar that's going to suffer, and it sucks. It's crazy. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Also, these guys, the Awesome Truth, R-Truth and The Miz. The Miz had an interesting promo last week on Monday Night Raw where he was saying how he's tired of being nice because so far him being nice, he always gets screwed over. Well, that's definitely could be a great reason for him to kind of jump ship and kind of be I still think he's young. I still think he has a lot of wrestling inside his heart. I feel like he could be a WWE Intercontinental Champion again. He does have a historic run as the Intercontinental Champion. He's definitely won it a bunch of times. Maybe this could be, kind of like a way. Excuse me. Kind of like a way for him to like maybe kind of be on his way out. Maybe he's ready to call it quits with his wife Maurice. But R-Truth obviously also up there in age as well. Kind of WWE taking a step back from older talent to kind of promote this new talent. And I just hope these guys don't really suffer because R-Truth is funny as hell on the promo, but most of his promos, I gotta be honest, are time consuming and essentially kind of pointless. And he's funny as hell, funny as hell. The Miz, like I said, I feel like he has a lot still left in the tank. We kind of be a damn shame to see these guys kind of lose it. Next, Ludwig Kaiser. Ludwig Kaiser recently had the open challenge. He challenged the WWE United States champion in Germany against LA Knight. He looked good. I thought he looked hella good. I definitely think he could be someone to hold a singles championship. He's one of the youngest rising stars. I just don't want him to kind of take a step back or like take a backseat approach because sometimes when you take a break from the spotlight, you never really make it back again. If Ludwig Kaiser would, not be featured on TV, he kind of did take a break from TV. He did. He came back once when Gunther, was able to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And it would be kind of, I feel like they'd be kind of shooting themselves in the foot. This is one of the young guys of professional wrestling, definitely could be the next, kind of like a Gunther. But, with Gunther there, I feel like a lot of talent will be kind of mostly suppressed, leading from the New Day, from R-Truth to The Miz, and of course Ludwig Kaiser. But I don't know. I just I thought he did really damn good in that match against freaking the LA Knight on last SmackDown. All right, next we have Alpha Academy. Alpha Academy. Not really so much of a Chad Gable, although I did kind of voice my frustrations that, why did his newly formed American-made faction have to take on the Wyatt Sicks and essentially kind of get, kill the momentum. We as WWE fans were waiting for these three guys to finally pop off together, and I thought they were going to have a good run. But then you had the Wyatt Sicks, make their debut, and then like Tozawa, Otis, Maxine Dupree. I feel like these guys are going to take a hit, bigger hit than Chad. Obviously, a way bigger hit than Chad. You've seen the Alpha Academy being brandished on NXT. Maybe they find themselves a way to get into like a TNA kind of, spotlight challenging ABC for those, TNA tag team championships. But overall, I just, I don't know. These guys are going to fade out eventually. I knew it. But, this new Monday Night Raw returning 2-hour show, kind of a slap to the face, being like, it looks like WWE hopes to kind of weed out the weak, as opposed to like, obviously, with losing an hour, WWE has to prioritize on PLE worthy storylines instead of like, little, cute storylines like this. And I don't know if that's the right word to use, cute, but like, I don't know, just to kind of keep these superstars where they are inside the ring. They do put on some good matches. Akira Tozawa is electric. He's on fire. Maxine Dupree, I feel like is a young rising woman star. I feel like since they're changing the landscape of WWE, the format, leaving it to 2 hours from Monday Night Raw, you kind of have to have something more. WWE has to change something. In the women's division, in the men's division, I kind of like the idea of, having, a tournament that, takes place obviously on the first Monday Night Raw after every pay-per-view or something like that, just so it gets, exciting. kind of them going to the 2-hour format. I don't want to say 1,010% it's because of, TKO Holdings and UFC. Essentially, you're going to kind of have an event happen like you see a UFC fight where you do mostly have, PLE storylines or, title matches that prioritize over kind of the young one, kind of the young little guy. But I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Another story, John Cena is about to make his retirement tour. He's going to make his retirement tour. So where does this fit? Where does this fit in a 2-hour show? Especially if he goes to Monday Night Raw. You know what I mean? On SmackDown, he could definitely, but him going to Monday Night Raw, it's already been confirmed that he's going to be a big reason. He's going to be a big top superstar that'll help WWE usher in this new era of Netflix. The Rock's going to be there as well. And once again, John Cena, kind of putting under talent. I'm just kidding. No, no, that was kind of it's kind of a jerk move. That was younger Cena. Now I feel like he does put young generation superstars and above him. But like I said, with him retirement tour, where's this all gonna fit? Where's this all gonna fit? Lastly, we have the Wyatt Sicks. Wyatt Sicks already is kind of on the fence, kind of on probation. I really don't, I feel like Uncle Howdy's going to be a huge star, definitely going to be challenging for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in the future, not against Gunther. He won't challenge Gunther. He will win the title. I feel like they will give it to him, and you're going to see a reign of the Wyatt Sicks family, the Wyatt family. But it's so crazy how every single time there's a faction like this, you already know the only thing that's going to break them apart is somebody turning on the other person. And, it's inevitable because that's exactly what happens in WWE. You've seen it with the Judgment Day. You've seen it with the Bloodline. How long they have this Wyatt Sicks, storyline going on, I'm not too sure. It's still obviously very young to kind of give an exact date on when WWE might pull the plug on this. But you need time. You need time. And, the videotapes, the promos, Bo Dallas talking to Uncle Howdy, and that's 3 or 4 minutes right there. And the minutes are going to be crucial. They're going to be so crucial. There's not going to be, they're not going to have time for that anymore. I feel like the tapes were cool at the first couple of times, but then it dragged on. I feel like it does drag on. I feel like Uncle Howdy does need a better approach. I feel like, more of a, horror movie kind of feel, and that might be possible with them moving to Netflix. I ultimately kind of stand behind and advocate for the idea that as soon as it goes to Netflix, you're going to see some crazy stuff. You're going to see some crazy stuff the Wyatt Sicks are going to do. And, WWE having the chance to kind of overall push those boundaries toward, more like a mature audience, rated R. But at the same time, sometimes if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you make it to Netflix and if you try too hard to seem a little grim and a little bit more raunchy and, more blood, WWE is great the way it is right now. You have a lot of young kids watching inside the shows. You have a lot of fans that were once young kids who grew up to be wrestling fans, obviously got their kids into it. And, you see people, still 40 years old that still watch WWE. So, you don't really have to lose your identity. You know what I mean? That's something that WWE should definitely know. Moving to Monday Night Raw, I feel like they shouldn't lose their identity. Kind of stick to your guns. All right, guys. So now we're going to rapidly wrap this up. We got my boy Emran's GSMC Soccer podcast starting in about 23 minutes. So make sure you stay tuned for that. But without further ado, in our last segment, I'm going to take you guys in my wrestling DeLorean. We're going to gun it to 88. We're going to move back in time to the day of September 10th. And we're just going to, kind of take little drop-offs here from year to year. So let's go do it. Let me open the car door for you. Make sure you wear your seatbelt. Why don't you grab a couple of snacks, maybe some drinks, to kind of help you carry along through this ride. So hey, I will be right back. All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, here every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific Time, 11 p.m. Eastern on the GSMC Sports Network, here to talk about everything in terms of professional wrestling. So make sure you tune in. It's pretty awesome. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about right quick. We had our WWE Monday Night Raw review. We had our NXT preview. We also had Charlotte Flair's, plan WWE's plan for Charlotte Flair amid her return. We also talked about Monday Night Raw going to a 2-hour show, how, it's going to hurt a lot of superstars. For me, I can only see the negativity out of it as of right now. The only positive thing from it would be Triple H's philosophy on, quality over quantity, which, kind of rubs me the wrong way. But, we'll find out. We'll find out October 7th. So, all right. So now we're going to talk about our fifth and final segment, Tuesdays Today in Wrestling History. Excuse me, gonna go back in time. I'm gonna gun it to 88 miles per hour. And where we're going, guys, we don't need no roads. All right, so we are here in 2001. 2001 on WWE Monday Night Raw's War, the WWE champion Stone Cold Steve Austin rallied the Alliance together to take out his frustrations on Kurt Angle by putting the Olympic gold medalist in a hardcore match against, Rob Van Dam. In the main event, you saw Test going, Test teaming up with Stephanie McMahon, Helmsley, to take on the WCW champion, The Rock, in a handicap match. When Stone Cold Steve Austin started the Alliance, and when everybody was so heartbroken, everybody saw him as this, cold-hearted WWE veteran, and kind of jumping ship a little bit. It was for the best. I believe 1,010% it was for the best. Kurt Angle, when he was young, he kind of needed the push, and kind of as soon as Stone Cold Steve Austin had a chance to work with Kurt, they made magic. They made magic between the promos together. Even, after that, it was just great. It was just great. It was both beneficial for both of these superstars. That's, really much I have to say about, these two superstars. Obviously both icons in terms of professional wrestling. And to be honest, I don't think Kurt Angle would be where he is right now if he didn't really assume the role of, not the leader of Team WWF against the Alliance. But if Stone Cold Steve Austin would have never kind of, shifted gears and be like, look, let's let somebody else be the captain. Let's spotlight, let's give the spotlight to somebody else like Kurt. And, let's promote some of our younger superstars. And Kurt Angle, he became a big deal in WWE. One of the best wrestlers from my tenure as a wrestling fan. Definitely from 2005 to 2007? No, 2000. I think, yeah, 2007 or 2008, where, he was just so dominant. He was kind of like the John Cena, where, he would never lose. Of course, he would never lose. He was the best wrestler, and he was able to, get under your skin and piss you off. So overall, I think Kurt Angle, of course, left the TNA after that. But I don't know. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Kind of historic. Oh, plus, a little note. This was actually the last Monday Night Raw before the 9/11 terrorist attacks took place the next day. The title of the show changed from Monday Night Raw's War to just Raw. They didn't really mention the war amid the war in Afghanistan, and everything that happened, and with the 9/11 attacks and stuff like that. It was sad. I remember when it happened. Man, it was definitely a day that will forever live in infamy, kind of like Pearl Harbor and stuff like that. So, definitely, kind of crazy, still kind of feeling it to this day. It's kind of crazy. All right, next, in 2005, Wrestling Reunion 3 took place in Florida, featured matches with legends such as the Warlord, Kamala, the Blue Meanie, Jake the Snake Roberts in the main event. Of course, it also featured Greg Valentine. Who is that? Tito Santana? I don't know why I want to see Santino Morella. That's crazy. Tully Blanchard also. Dusty Rhodes fought Terry Funk in the main event in a no contest in a regular wrestling match that was refereed by who other than a hardcore legend, Mick Foley. So I definitely think that's cool. Definitely, taking a step back into wrestling, kind of looking at some of these, legends who's kind of took off in the wrestling world. A lot of people look up to these guys. I remember the Blue Meanie. I remember I used to play WWE WrestleMania 2000 with my brothers, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? Like, I was like, dude, I don't remember seeing this guy. But I think it was part of the Nasty Boys. I think he was. Don't quote me on that. But I don't know. It was kind of cool. The BWO. It's just classic. It's so funny, so funny. In 2007, on the go home edition of WWE Raw Before Unforgiven, Vince McMahon found out the identity of his illegitimate son. Oh my God, that was a bad storyline. That's so. Oh. WWE Champion John Cena provoked by Randy Orton ahead of their upcoming pay-per-view WWE title rematch. You saw Triple H take on Shelton Benjamin in an Intercontinental Championship match. And Jeff Hardy was forced to take SmackDown's World Heavyweight Champion, take on SmackDown's World Heavyweight Champion, the Great Khali, which, the Great Khali during my time as a wrestling fan, he recently actually did have a birthday a couple Tuesdays ago. And kind of crazy, kind of funny. And then just like this whole illegitimate son thing was so funny. It was so funny, but at the same time, I remember watching this episode and I was like, dude, it's kind of stupid. This little leprechaun guy, who followed Fit Finley around. He was, they called him the little the little B word, and Hornswoggle. Man, like it's crazy. It's crazy. He did have a short stint in WWE after that, but overall, Vince McMahon, some of the storylines that he let cross paths and let air, gotta be honest, wasn't the best, but this was definitely one of them. But, it was funny. It was indeed funny. His illegitimate son was Hornswoggle. Illegitimate storyline, obviously playing kayfabe here. But no, it's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. All right. So next we go to 2012. 2012, after teaming up with Randy Orton to face CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler on Monday Night Raw, Jerry Lawler suffered a heart attack live on commentary. Lawler's life was saved by CPR from WWE's Dr. Sampson. Thank God that guy was there. Like, that's unbelievable. Like, right now, Jerry the King Lawler still kicking it to this day. He's still, you see him on WWE live pre-shows. Occasionally he does, announce a couple of matches. I want to see one last match. I want to see Jerry Lawler commentate with good old Jim Ross, one final match before anything happens to these lovely gentlemen. I grew up watching these guys. Monday Night Raw, it was these guys. On SmackDown. You had Taz and Michael Cole, or JBL and Michael Cole. These guys were just money together. It was great. It was great. And the whole live on TV. One of those things. Unfortunate does happen. Health problems. Also, once when the stint happened with Owen Hart, where he tragically fell from his death from the rafters. It was Jerry Lawler there as well. To kind of be like, look, like this isn't part of the storyline. He's dead. Like it's just crazy. It's like a sense of realness in terms of professional wrestling. And Jerry Lawler, he had a heart attack on live air. That's it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. I obviously, thank God he's he's better. He's living a good life. Hopefully, obviously. In 2012, WWE Hall of Famer Bret Hart conducted a head-to-head interview between him and CM Punk and John Cena on the go-home edition of Monday Night Raw from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, for Clash of Champions. Later on in the show, Punk faced an opponent by WWE audience choosing for the very first time. Bret Hart appeared at WWE event in Montreal since the infamous Montreal Screwjob at Survivor Series in 1997. Obviously, this was bad. This was the beginning of the Montreal Screwjob was bad. And then Bret Hart came back, and like he said in a couple of interviews, talking about Vince McMahon, like he came back, he wanted to bury the hatchet. Fortunately, Vince is still Vince. At the end of the day. Bret Hart never really found peace in WWE. Of course, like he did with Shawn. I feel like him and Shawn did bury the hatchet. He does still have some remarks toward, Triple H Palovek. He said a couple of months ago, I think it was, in an interview that Triple H doesn't deserve to be in the position he's at. He only got it because he was basically, with the boss's daughter. And if he was still in WWE, and if he would have never gotten screwed by Vince McMahon with that, that contract that he was basically said yes to, and then Vince McMahon pulled out at the last minute, causing Bret to go to WCW. I think Bret Hart would have had an amazing career in WWE. Definitely would be one of the most honorable champions. Maybe he would be the longest, the most title holders, and maybe 16, 17, 18 time champion. I believe that in my heart, 1,010%. Was forced to leave the WCW, based on a rash decision. Turned out to be terrible. He wrestled with people who were very undertrained, like Bill Goldberg, who costed him his career. And I don't think he shifts the blame to Vince McMahon, but you can see, like Bret Hart, I would have never been put in this position if I would have never been screwed by Vince McMahon. If he would have, honored his word, honored the contract, and it's kind of crazy. It's crazy how it all kind of went down. Bret Hart, you seen him on WWE Monday Night Raw yesterday, which is kind of crazy how we're talking about it tonight. He did. I feel like he has buried the hatchet with Triple H as well, because I've watched in an interview Triple H's feelings toward Bret Hart, saying that he was very unprofessional. Vince McMahon has never let anybody leave the WWE holding a title. Bret didn't want to do Vince. Bret wanted to do what was best for Bret and what wasn't best for the company. And obviously that is a hell of a thing to say. Of course, when you eventually become the son-in-law, you know what I mean? But I feel like it is kind of buried. So I feel like Bret Hart will be featured in WWE more. I would honestly sign him to a Legends contract. I would. I'd put him backstage to see what he can do in terms of creative. You're definitely going to need a pair of fresh eyes going into Netflix. You're going to need a pair of fresh eyes kind of condensing this show into 2 hours. So 1,010%, I feel like bringing the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be back to WWE would be great. I feel like it'd be great. All right, guys. So, hey, that's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Thank you so much. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow the show, follow the network. Follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And like I always say, if I have not made you a wrestling fan by now, we got basketball with my boy Nelson. We also got two football shows. We got the Chip Shot Football Podcast with Manny and the GSMC Football Podcast with my boy Kenneth. We got fantasy sports, GSMC Fantasy Sports Podcast with Chris Shepard. Find out your stardoms, your sitters, your stardoms, your sitters. Did I say no? I didn't say it. I didn't say it. All that. Find out who to pick up from the waiver wire. You know what I mean? Find out who to drop. A couple of injuries, you know what I mean? You don't know what's going to happen. I honestly didn't think, I thought Christian McCaffrey was going to play yesterday. Luckily, I wasn't the one who drafted him. I was going to, though. I had the second pick, too. And I was going to, but instead, I picked up Amon-Ra St. Brown, who on Sunday night screwed me over. Oh, God. Fantasy? Oh, man. Find out all your information from Chris Shepard. Definitely got to, tune into that show more often than not. We also got Tommy with the GSMC College Football Podcast. Definitely a lot of action-packed Saturdays from the Pac-12 to the big. Oh my God, I did see I'm not that prestige on college football talk just yet. Got to be honest, a couple of of our production meetings, we've been talking about college football, and I kind of pay more attention because I'm like, you know what? I want to be a college football fan. Obviously, with with my career, you kind of have to know a lot of the aspects in sports. I usually focus on the big three: NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL, and of course, I wet my beak a little bit on wrestling. Wrestling's kind of like my side hustle. It's kind of like my side girl. I'm just kidding, no. Anyways, actually, you know what? It's to the point where I watch so much damn wrestling that I feel like NFL has shifted to my side girl. I did off, gone and married my side girl. I'm just kidding. Moving on with the metaphors. So make sure you tune into all those podcasts. We have the Sports by GSMC with Jeremy. We got the GSMC Sports Podcast with TJ. And, all these guys are, amazing. I watch these guys. I learn from these guys. They're definitely going to be stars one day. outside of the GSMC Sports Network. Although, being here, under this platform, 1,010%. It's great. It's great. Ran by a lot of, some really nice people. 1,010% wholesome. Make sure you subscribe. Like I said, give you the Eric Rodriguez guarantee that the GSMC Sports Network, we care about, they care about the podcasters. We care about our fans. Just want to be one big happy family. Be a part of this new GSMC Wrestling Laureate bloodline family that we can talk about wrestling Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern on the GSMC Sports Network. So, just do it. Make it like Nike and just do it. All right, guys. So, hey, that's it for me. Stay beautiful. Have a safe, amazing Tuesday night. But most importantly, love you.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to